What's up, everybody? It's the Power Rankings Podcast, aka the Power Rankings Show. I'm your host, Elliot Harrison, for the first time in a really long time. Sorry, I'm finishing a boiled egg, sweating my, well, I'm not going to say what I would normally say there, but it is 103 in Texas right now, where I am. So I've got my reading glasses holding back my sweaty hair, and I'm joined, as always, by the Billy Idol of football analysts, the one and only, the beloved, my good friend, Pat. Marcus_Mosher. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, that was lame. I'm doing well. How are you? I mean, are you really doing well?
I feel refreshed. I was on vacation last week. I brought my Lindy's magazine to the beach. Yes. I read every single team report. I read every single little line of every player that's on the 90-man roster entering camp. I'm doing fantastic, Elliot.
Well, it's good to hear. I have, if you guys are listening right now, well, of course you are, because if you weren't listening, you wouldn't hear this. But I've been gone for a while. I've been having trouble with my throat. And so I had a couple buddies fill in for me. We took some time off so Marcus could have a vacation. And, anyway, so it seems like it's been absolutely forever. My voice is feeling better, although I'm fighting something off, but we'll see how long it lasts. I haven't done this in a while, so I really need to be coming from the diaphragm as opposed to my throat when I speak. A couple cool things today. Number one, do you want to see our football card of the day?
Yes, I do.
Football card of the day. Here it is. I just pulled it out randomly. This is, I'm going to try to hold it so there's no glare on it. So let's see, maybe right here. Wait, no.
There it is.
There.
Yeah, there it is.
This is a 59 Topps Paul Hornung. And, you know, when you think of the 50s, you think like really conservative. Mm-hmm. But if you could see this well, Marcus, like the letters in his name are all different colors. And then you got a pink, would you call it a fuchsia background?
Yes.
Behind him. But I love the little logo in the corner, the old like 50s NFL logos. Have you ever seen the original Cowboys logo? Not what they had on their helmet, but what they used. It was like a little cowboy guy on a horse. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, this is when the Packers really sucked. I mean, they sucked because this is 1958 season. I think they won like one game. Vince Lombardi took over in 59. They went 7-5. And anyway, I wanted to show Paul Hornung today because I really feel like our world, especially the football world, really needs a sense of humor. And Paul Hornung was a genuinely funny, fun-loving dude. Great player, also very versatile player. We did a podcast about versatile players, Marcus, and I don't remember if we mentioned Paul Hornung in that or not, but he totaled 176 points one year in 1961. As a kicker, running back, throwing the ball, everything. A fantasy stud before there was such a thing. And I got to know him a little bit when he was about 80, and he was still a funny guy. He was holding court at breakfast at the Hall of Fame. So that was a lot of fun. So that's our football card of the day.
And they named a college football award after him, the Paul Hornung Award for the most versatile player. One of my favorite awards that they give out every year. So pretty cool.
You've talked about that before. Who won it last year, 2021?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't remember, but there's been some really good names in there between Chris Gamble, who played wide receiver and defense. Mm-hmm. There's some couple guys that played, multiple kick returner, punt returner. I'll double check to see who won it last year.
Well, you love those kind of guys. I mean, Cordero Patterson's one of your favorite players in NFL history, and he is kind of testament of that quality.
Marcus Jones, the corner that the Patriots drafted, the wide receiver, corner, kick returner, punt returner, can have a big role for them this year as well.
And the Patriots have a history of using guys in multiple spots. Troy Brown, one of my favorite players of all time, played defensive back for half of I think it was the 04 season when their secondary got hit really hard. I'm actually going to talk about the Patriots secondary just for briefly today. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to do a quick podcast on what would you call this? How would you, what do you think is the right thing to call this?
Preseason thoughts. Basically just, this is like our elevator pitches for each team, right?
You got wins and losses for me?
I do.
Yeah. We talking wins and losses odds or Marcus Mosher's wins and losses?
No, we got wins and losses odds.
Okay. Well, I did something here on my plane flight to Texas. I wrote down what I thought the record for every NFL team would be. And then I made sure I did the math over and over, and I kept adjusting until it evened out, because I can't stand it. When I was at the NFL, they would ask us to do predictions, and everybody would do their predictions. And of course, all of our analysts were way over in the win column.
Every team had a winning record, basically.
Yeah. Or, like when you did if you added all the wins and losses up, it'd be like 20 games over 500. The last year I was at NFL Network, I actually predicted every single game of the season. I went through the schedule and with the producer, and he said, no, you gave them a loss here. So I had to, it got hard. When I got to the final team, I'd already filled out their entire schedule, of wins and losses. But anyway, your audio is off.
I have myself muted because I was listening to it. And the point of today's show is we're going to be talking about all these teams going into training camp, but also betting wise, if we think a team is going to go 12-5 and their over under is 9.5, it's a pretty good sign that maybe you should bet on them. So this is a little bit of betting advice in there as well.
Am I allowed to do a humble brag?
Sure.
I was the most accurate that year out of all of our analysts, even though I confined myself to making every game. It stunk. It was so hard. I remember the last team I got to was literally like the Jags or the Texans, and their entire schedule was already filled out. I had already predicted every game on their schedule. So I couldn't, there was no maneuvering. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. You were pretty stuck.
Yeah. Cause we went team by team. So we started with like the Bills, and I predicted the Bills schedule. Well, whatever I predicted for the Bills, let's say I had them splitting with the Patriots. Then when I went to the Patriots schedule, I already had those two games predicted, and I had to stick with it. It was very, very hard. So anyway, I didn't do that. I didn't look at every game on the schedule. I might do that, but I did predict all the records. So let's get started. We start with the Bills.
Yeah, we're going to go from, this is a little bit of teasing, but we're going from the highest win totals down, right, in descending order. So we're starting with the Bills. Win total set at 11.5.
I'm going to have a Ricola lozenge.
Okay,
Ricola lozenge.
Is that a sponsor?
Soothes the back of your throat. I'm just saying, just in case anyone's listening.
Okay.
At Ricola, we could use that $5,000 a month. All right, go ahead.
Bills, I think they've got the best roster in the NFL. I love the addition of Von Miller. I also really like James Cook, who they drafted in the second round. There's really no reason this team shouldn't be either the number 1 or number 2 seed in the AFC.
So you got 11.5. That's the odds right now?
Yes. Yep.
I got 12-5 for the Bills. I'm taking the over.
Okay. That's good. Barely, but probably stay away. Not a lot of wiggle room there for the Buffalo if you're betting them.
Let's hear Tampa. Come on.
Tampa Bay. They signed Julio Jones yesterday. Receiving course pretty good with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, Julio Jones. 11.5. I
got the Bucks at 12.
Yeah, feels about right.
It does.
It's hard to find 6 losses on that schedule, and if you're betting the under, man, you're gonna have. You've got to have them slip up against some pretty inferior teams.
Still a little worried about the front 7. I'm just saying, but go ahead. It's Green Bay.
Green Bay. Similar right here. Believe they are at 11.5 as well. Or excuse me, 11.
I kept going back and forth on this one, but in order to make my records match for the entire league, I had to take a win off of the Packers total. So I've got them at 11-6.
Exactly what sportsbooks are predicting. The problem here is I would still be willing to take the over, because if you're betting the under, you're thinking that they're going to lose 7 games. They just haven't done that with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. I would be inclined to take the over here. But our next one, Kansas City Chiefs, 10.5.
This is another one I had to take a win off in order to make. I had too many wins. I was like 6 games over 500 or whatever for the entire league. I got Kansas City at 9-8. It's a tough division, dude.
That is really a tough division.
Tough division.
You think Andy Reid's going to lose 8 games this year?
His first year in KC, I think they went 9-7. It's possible.
And that was with Alex Smith at quarterback.
Now, wait a minute. Alex Smith played well for that team.
He did, but I'm saying that's kind of been Andy Reid's floor. I don't disagree. Like, I think 10 wins is probably the right number for Kansas City.
That's fair. I think
a lot would have to go wrong for them to win fewer than 10 games. I'm just saying.
They lost their defensive leader. They lost their biggest offensive threat. Just saying. Okay. Go ahead. Los Angeles Rams. Yeah.
10.5.
Okay. I've got the Rams at 12-5.
Yeah, I like this Rams team quite a bit. I love the addition of Allen Robinson. I think Bobby Wagner, at least for this year, is going to be really helpful for that defense. I think 10.5 seems a little bit low.
Yeah, and I'm not sold on the rest of the NFC West, really. So there we go, at least part of the NFC West. All right, Dallas Cowboys. I know where this one's going.
10 wins.
Oh, that's what I've got them. 10 wins on the nose. I think Cowboy fans should be really happy with that because they're not winning the NFC East. There we go.
Jeez, just hot takes right out of the start. Just not even waiting. 10 feels about right. I could see them going one game in either direction, but I don't think there's a lot of variance here. I think somewhere between 9 and 11 wins feels about right.
Hey, 12-second analysis. Got Gallup coming off an injury. Cooper's not back. He's in Cleveland. Offensive line, I would say, is middling right now at best. I worry about the front seven staying healthy, particularly DeMarcus Lawrence. Randy Gregory is now in another zip code. Those are enough reasons for me right there. And do we trust the kicking game, specifically making field goals?
No.
Okay, cool.
49ers, 10 wins.
10 wins. All right, 49ers, I've got 10-7. So
I'm on the nose.
Other than the Chiefs, yeah. Okay. I am still, I think with the 49ers, I know quarterback's going to be circled and it should, but I think secondary is still the area you have to look at with this team. Not in the NFC West, but in the tournament, because the 49ers will be in the tournament.
I think they're going to get off to a hot start. It's just how do they deal with teams adjusting to Trey Lance after the first 3 or 4 games of the season? And the middle of their season or schedule is really tough. You know, games against the Chiefs, Rams, and Chargers in 3 straight weeks. Then they play the Bucs and the Raiders. We'll see. But I think 10 wins feels about right. This next one I think is interesting. We've got the Broncos at 10 wins.
So this is another team I had to take a win off in order to get my number to 500. So the Broncos I have at 10-7.
I think that feels a little high. I would go probably more like 8 or 9 wins, but I could see 10 wins as well. This is not a team that I want to bet on at 10 wins, though. I think I would be inclined to take the under.
They have a receiver core with huge upside, good kicking game, obviously a new quarterback. Offensive line, I wish was better. Good secondary. I think a lot's going to depend on how well Gregory plays for them. If Gregory plays a lot, what they're hoping for, it's going to really help that entire defense out because they already have a secondary that can hold the fort. Anyway, I've got 10 wins.
I liked their offensive line last year. I didn't love them. They didn't make any big improvements, but they did lose Mike Munchak. I'm a little concerned about that. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. All right.
Great player, too.
Yeah. Keep going. Moving on. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC champions from last year, at 10 wins.
I had them at 10 wins. I put it down. I left it here. And again, just to remind, I have no idea what these odds were. I just did this off the cuff, literally on my tray table on the plane. So, 10 wins on the tray table for the Bengals. With
feels
my
about
watered
right.
down Coke.
Yeah, feels
Some
about
Southwest
right.
peanuts.
Did you put the peanuts in the Coke?
No. I don't, I always give the Southwest snack mix to my neighbor because he eats that stuff. He loves not having to pay for it at the store because I bring it home. So,
yeah. All right. Next one are Los Angeles Chargers, which we are going to be getting polos at some point this year. 10 wins.
11-6, pal. 11-6.
We are in on the Chargers. I like that. It feels realistic, but I'm not betting on that total. There's just not enough value there.
Well, there's not enough discrepancy between what Vegas thinks and what you think, which is something we preach about over-unders all the time. Although you're not an over-under guy, I am. So that's all right. Go ahead. Colts. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. You give me your number first.
I went back and forth on this. I had them at 10-7. And then two things. One, I told you I needed to find some wins to come down because I was over 500 on my league total. And I had little Marcus in my ear. Little Marcus in my ear, constantly talking to me about his political views and, how cinnamon rolls in Amish country are far superior to everywhere else. And that the Colts really aren't that good. I went 9-8.
Yeah, it's 10. And I think they're going to win 10 games this year. I think that's about the right number.
So I'm lower than you.
Yeah, I think 10 is the right number. If I had to pick somebody to win the AFC South right now, it's the Colts. But that roster, I liked it more before I started to do some deep dive.
Well, Leonard not being ready for the season is a big deal.
I mean, that's a big one. The left tackle is Matt Pryor. They lost Mark Lukinski, the right guard.
Okay, no, I'm going to stop you right there. If you've done some film study on our podcast, way too much talk about guard play. I'm not allowing it.
Okay, that's fine. Next one, Eagles, 9.5.
Yeah, I got the Eagles at 10 wins. I think they win the NFC East. I would take that bet if I were you on the over.
Yeah, that's just, again, not enough discrepancy there, right? If you think they're going to go win 10 games and the total is at 9.5, you're basically betting on one game.
Better odds, Eagles 4-1 to win the NFC East.
Yes, I'd much rather do that. I'd much rather do that.
That's what the odds were. I don't know if they're still there. Okay.
They're creeping up. Seems like the public is starting to bet on the Eagles a little bit, which I get. A lot of excitement until they realize that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. Next one. Here we go. Baltimore Ravens, 9.5.
I got the Ravens at 10-7. I feel really good about this. I mean, I probably wouldn't bet on it because it's 9.5, but I think the Ravens win 10 games.
I think they win 10 games, and they're a team that's in 15 of the 17 games, right? Like every game is decided by 4 points or fewer, right? They're going to be a really competitive team.
And unlike the Cowboys, but like the Broncos and hopefully the Bengals, the Ravens win those a lot of those 15 games because they have a kicker that's going to make those kicks.
Yes.
I mean, it's something you have to just factor in, right? I mean, if you think the games are going to be close, you want to go with the teams that have the reliable kicker. No joke here.
Don't disagree at all. Next one, Minnesota Vikings, 9 wins. This one feels a little bit high. I like this Vikings team a lot, but you need them to win 10-7 to win your bet. That feels a little high considering first year GM, first year head coach.
Yeah. Boy, this was a hard one, home/cheese money. But I've got the Vikings at 10-7. This roster's a top 8 roster in the league for sure.
I don't
if
disagree.
Not top 5. So give me Minnesota for 10 wins.
Okay. I like it. That's not a bad bet, but I actually like Minnesota to win the NFC North more than I like betting on them to win total, right?
Okay.
Because you're basically betting on they're going to be so much better than the other 2 teams in their division, not named Green Bay. And if something happens where Aaron Rodgers or Green Bay gets a bunch of injuries on defense, why not? I could see that happening.
I've changed my mind. I like Halls better than Ricola. So Ricola, I don't care if you're listening. I mean, you can still sponsor with us, but I like Halls better. All right, Tennessee.
Tennessee, the team that we always kind of like because the coaching staff is so good, but they are at 9 wins. This.
No, I got them at 8-9, big guy. 8-9.
I looked over that roster the other day, and it's scary, right? There's just some big question marks on the offensive line. The secondary, I still don't love. It's gonna be Vrabel's gonna have to do a heck of a job once again to get this team in the playoffs.
I mean, 9-8 is fine. This was another team that I debated 9-8 or 8-9, but that's where they're gonna be. One of the two.
I don't disagree. Next one, Miami Dolphins, 9 wins. Now this Miami's been pretty competitive over the last 2 years, but is this the year that they have, a real chance of making the playoffs?
This was really hard for me. Miami was really hard. Maybe the hardest team on this list, on my trade table, Southwest flight list. I kept debating Miami and Tennessee, which one was going to have a losing record. I went with Tennessee. I've got 9-8 for the Dolphins.
On the nose.
I think they're a good team. I mean, look, it's such low hanging fruit, isn't it? But I think so much depends on Tua. And when you have a rookie head coach, you just don't know what to expect. I know you like their head coach hire. I know you like the idea of pairing a young quarterback with an offensive minded coach, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm staying away. Next one I like quite a bit though. The Patriots 8.5. And before you give me the record, I've got a question for you. I was looking at their roster the other day. Who's the best player on the Patriots right now?
That's a really great question. I don't know.
Like if you're doing the media guide and you can't put Mac Jones on there, who are you putting?
This is totally legit. This is totally legit. I don't know.
Can I tell you who I think it's going to be by the end of the year?
Go ahead.
Kyle Duggar. I think Kyle Duggar is going to be a superstar. He's just not there yet.
I think it's Bill Belichick. I mean, honestly.
Is it Joe Judge?
I'm with you. This was another team that, I really debated. They were a tough one. I've got the Patriots at 9-8.
Yeah, feels about right. I'm not opposed to betting on them, though, to win the AFC East. It's just like a long shot bet. I think they're like 6-1 to do it. Wouldn't be total.
Do you know what's always a sad feeling capped off by a real treat? Is when you get like to the last part of your Hall's cherry cough drop and there's really not enough left for you to warrant keeping it where it's at. So you go ahead and you just bite into it, but it actually tastes really good, the last part of it.
It does. It's very depressing. Next one, Arizona Cardinals, a very depressing team in itself.
Yes.
8.5 wins.
Yeah, 8-9, bro. 8-9 all the way.
Got some bad
comfortable
vibes
betting
on
on
team.
this.
Yeah, there's some bad vibes for this Cardinals team right now between DeAndre Hopkins being suspended for 6 games. Hollywood Brown is already on the PUP list because of a hamstring pull that happened last week. Kyler Murray signed a contract that he probably didn't want to, that requires him to study film. I don't know. I don't love this team.
8-9.
Okay. Raiders 8.5.
Too low. I got the Raiders at 10-7, my friend. 10-7. Yeah, I know you don't like that. Higher than Kansas City.
No, it's not that I don't like it because I think this is a Super Bowl roster. It's just the offensive line makes me so nervous. They had their starting guard this week, Denzel Good, retire. They have no options there. I think the offensive line is so bad that it could end up doing them in.
I think that's not what it is. I think what it is with you is, can I bet on the Raiders to actually win the division? And part of you just inside automatically says no.
I just think of the 4 teams in that division, they are a distant 4th when it comes to the offensive line.
The Raiders could have Joe Montana, Walter Payton, Lawrence Taylor on their team, and people would be very hesitant to predict them to do anything.
That's fair.
So go ahead. Next up.
This one we're going to love. The Saints sitting at 8 wins right now.
Way too low. I've got the Saints at 10-7, my friend.
All right. So this is our first one where we have a 2-game difference in what Vegas has and what we believe, because I agree with you. I think there's a chance they win 11 games this year. I think there's a chance they steal that division. Their roster's absolutely loaded. And the addition of Chris Olave is going to make this offense just way more explosive. I'm all in.
I know you're not a running backs guy, and I don't think you really care about Alvin Kamara that much, but the more they can lean on that area of their team, and by the way, Michael Thomas went out and practiced, looked really good. The more, though, that they can lean on the running game and a big-time possession receiver like Thomas, the less we're going to see the Jameis Winston of 2019 that threw 30-something interceptions for Tampa Bay, which is a good thing.
I'll be curious to see what happens to that win total if Alvin Kamara is suspended after being arrested during the Pro Bowl weekend. Seems like a suspension is coming.
We just don't know what that's going to be. I mean, it's a total unknown right now. The main thing, though, that I'm getting at is take Winston out of risky situations, like playing from behind, which I think they won't be playing from way behind that much. They may be playing from 7 points behind
or 4
but
points.
Not,
their defense is going to win them by themselves 4 or 5 games. They're going to be able to, Carolina and Atlanta, those 4 games, they're going to be able to shut down those offenses. We love the Saints.
This will be a top 8 defense. All right, next up.
Washington Commanders, 7.5 wins.
I got them at 7-10. I originally had them at 8-9. I needed to drop my win total, as I told you. This was the first win total drop I made. I was like, okay, all right, this is an easy one because I was debating anyway. 7-10. What do you think?
I could see them going lower. If you do like the Eagles a lot this year, and the Cowboys are going to be competitive, they might not win the division, but they're going to be competitive. Is there really another spot in this division for an 8+ win team? Probably not. So I think the Giants could even be better than Washington. I'm taking the under here.
Yep. I mean, 7-10 is under. So
it's under.
There we go.
It's under. All right.
I do like that analysis.
Very good.
I thought you'd
that's why people pay lots of money to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Pittsburgh Steelers 7.
Yeah, this was tough. I originally had Pittsburgh at 9-8. I took 2 wins off their total. I had them at 9-8 out of respect for their culture, for Mike Tomlin, the fact that they always seem to get it done. But I look at that team, I look at the division they're in, I look at the conference that they're in, and I think if I left that bias out of it, I thought to myself, this is a 7-win team, and that's what they are.
I think on paper, if everybody stays healthy, they can win 9, maybe even 10 games. The difference for them compared to other teams is they have absolutely no depth. Like, they are so top heavy. They can't afford any injuries to a Cam Hayward or a TJ Watt because they won't be able to overcome it, because that's just what happens when you don't have an elite quarterback. It's too hard to keep all the other positions at an elite level.
Right. But you're banking a lot on that offensive line playing better and Mitch Trubisky mitigating some of that offensive line play. And I don't know that you can bank on that.
No, I don't think
I like the move, but that doesn't mean you can bank on it.
I think 7.5, 8 wins is probably the right number.
Okay.
Next one. Giants, 7 wins.
All right, New York Giants I have at 7-10. I think they're going to be duking it out with the Commanders. I think they're going to be as good as the Commanders because I think their coaching is going to be good. I think Daniel Jones is going to play better. I don't know what Carson Wentz is going to do with Washington. So I think the Giants are going to be right there with Washington at 7-10, even though I think Washington actually has better players than the Giants do.
Yeah, but I like the coaching significantly better. 7 feels about right. I'm not inclined to take the over or the under here. They're actually a team that I'm really excited to watch because I just think they're going to be so much more fun. You're going to see more spread offense, more receivers on the field, a ridiculously high passing rate. I think they're a fun team this year.
You know what's so weird about this, man, is I'm not joking. I did this on the plane, and I'm almost in lockstep with Vegas on all of this. Not that that's a good thing necessarily. I'm just saying that's really weird.
You're close. Yeah, we only have one team that we have a big disagreement on, and it's the Saints.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll have a different one. How about the Bears at 6.5?
I had the Bears at 7-10. I took them down 2 wins. And the reason I did is I realized I was being a little pie in the sky. I look at their roster. I like their coaching hire, but look at their personnel on defense, Marcus.
Yeah.
If you take their personnel, I'm not talking about how they played last year. I'm not talking about the Bears' reputation for always kind of being a I guess, pesky team defensively. It's a bottom 10 defense personnel-wise, in my mind.
Yeah, and they've got Robert Quinn, who had 18.5 sacks last year, and they still might be a bottom 3 defensive line in the NFL right now. Like, it's just, there's nobody there. They lost Eddie Goldman. They lost Khalil Mack. They lost Akeem Hicks, and they didn't really replace those guys with anybody. Their big signing was Larry Ogunjoye, who ended up failing his physical. So I would take the under here. I think it's going to be hard for them to get more than 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah, well, we're in lockstep. Next up.
What about the Lions at 6.5?
I moved the Lions up, even though I needed to take wins off because I had too many wins. I actually added one to the Lions while taking wins away from everyone else. So I bumped the Lions from 5-12 to 6-11. I've got them at 6-11.
I'm not opposed to betting the over here for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I want to because this team is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Can't do things that you want to, home slice cheese skillet.
Sure you can. That's why we have sports betting. And then number two, it's the roster. Yeah, the roster's pretty good. Like they've really good on the offensive and defensive line. They've made some good improvements at receiver. They were in a lot of games last year. If they just have a little bit more luck that way, I could see them going 8-9 this season.
8-9. Can't go there with you.
But see, if you're down on the Bears and you believe the Bears are going to basically go 0-6 in the division, that's when you can bet the Lions, right?
Yeah, I've already got my pie in the sky 8-9 team. Next up.
Okay. Jacksonville Jaguars.
My pie in the sky 8-9 team right here.
Yeah, I figured. 6.5 wins.
Would I bet the over on the Jags? No, because if it's my money, I'd like to keep it, especially with the economy the way it is. However, would I bet the under on this? I absolutely would not. This would be a walk away. Don't even bother. So this is just fun talk for you and I. I think Lawrence and Peterson can get them to 7 or 8 wins.
I agree with you.
I do.
A team that I'm really excited to see. I just want to know, how many wins do you get by just replacing Urban Meyer with an NFL average coach? Because I wondered if it's like 2 or 3. He was so bad last year. And I actually think Doug Peterson is a slightly above average coach. So if you get 2.5 more wins, Lawrence gets a little bit better. The offense with Christian Kirk and Zay Jones is better. Why couldn't they get to 7 wins?
Do you want to hear something really funny?
Sure.
Did you know that they have a pass rusher who has the same name as a quarterback?
Yeah, Josh Allen. Yeah, so good.
Okay, Carolina.
6.5 wins.
Yeah, this is another one that have fun with it if you really want to bet on every single thing in your life. But I don't know how else to say it. I got Carolina at 6-11, and I feel really comfortable with that prediction.
I don't trust Matt Rule to do anything better. So yeah, I would take the under there. Plus, we like the Saints. We think the Bucs are going to win 10 games.
Yep.
It's going to be awfully hard for them.
You've got that right there. I mean, if you and I think the Bucs are going to win 12, and if we think the Saints are going to win 10, you're talking about 22-12 right there within the division.
Yep.
Right off the bat. So yeah, it's just like the stock market. Somebody always gets caught holding the bag. Let's go to Seattle.
5.5, and I have no idea how the Seahawks could win 6 games this year.
I got Seattle at 5-12, and another one I feel very confident with.
I would take the under on that all day.
Under 5? So you're thinking 3 or 4?
Oh, under 5.5. So that would be 5 or fewer. I mean, this team is going to struggle just to get first downs, Elliot. Like, they're so bad on offense.
There's something about Seattle. They're pesky is the right word for them. I hope I didn't pop my pee too much there. Sorry, guys.
But that's with Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner and all of those guys. Like, you're relying on Jordan Brooks to be the leader of your defense. The secondary is not very good. The pass rush is awful. You're still in on Seahawks culture, are you?
I'm just waiting for you to move on.
Okay. Jets, 5.5.
Yeah. Boy, I sound like Lumberg. Yeah. Gonna have to kind of disagree with you there. I put 5-13, which is not a possible record. So I got 5-12 on the Jets.
You tell me when their first win is coming. I'm going to read the part of their schedule, the start of their schedule. Home against the Ravens, at the Browns, home against the Bengals, at the Steelers, home against the Dolphins, at the Packers, at the Broncos, home against the Patriots, home against the Bills.
They start 2-1 and they only win 3 games the rest of the way. Come on. You telling me you couldn't see Baltimore going in there and laying an egg? I sure could. I could. And then they beat the Bengals 2 years in a row.
Baltimore's usually pretty good in week 1, but
I know they are. But I know you're remembering them beating Buffalo like 96-3. That game was also in Baltimore.
Or Miami. Yep.
Isn't that game in New York?
Yes.
Okay. Team's going to be excited. Fans are going to be excited. Week 1 is always an anomaly. Wouldn't you agree?
All right. Yeah, we do see weird things happen in week 1. That's fair.
Okay. Word to your lab partner. Not high on this next one.
Falcons, 5 wins.
Yeah, I got the under on that home slice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm looking at my little drafts here on my phone. Yeah, it's so stupid to save thing in your email draft, like just dumb, and I still do it. I think I was 12. Falcons are 4-13.
Yeah, that defense. Can you name their number 1 pass rusher right now?
I'd say what I can name. I hate having to say 4-13. I want to say 4-12.
So do I. It's
still
awful.
Hate the 7. It's still hate the 17.
D'Angelo Malone and Arnold Ebiketie.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck starting to find a pass rush for those 2 guys. I'm on the under.
Who do you have less faith in, the Falcons receiver group or their pass rush?
Pass rush easily, because I count Kyle Pitts as part of their receiving.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not fair.
I did see Kyle Pitts today said that he believes it's a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Kyle Pitts thinks his rookie cards go for $10 million too.
They
Let's
probably
go.
do.
What's up?
Houston Texans
3
4.5.
and 14.
Oh, you're down on this Texans team. I kind of like them a little bit.
Oh yeah, I like them a little bit. That's why I dogged out Lovie Smith every single podcast. We were doing podcasts like literally on I don't remember what, like on the board game Clue and the passing game in 1996, and you still found a way to criticize Lovie Smith.
I don't think he's a good coach, but I kind of think Davis Mills is a surprisingly competent quarterback who's going to win like 3 games he shouldn't win this year.
Okay, which would make them 3 and 14.
Well, 3 more games that they shouldn't win.
3 and 14.
Okay.
Tell me who the Texans roster is better than right now.
No, nobody.
Unequivocally.
Nobody.
Better.
Nobody.
I would say they're as good as 3 or 4 teams, but
Nobody.
they're not better than anybody.
No, but
okay.
I might rather have Davis Mills than Marcus Mariota, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield.
I smell what you're stepping in.
That's all right.
But
I just think there's a chance that what if Davis Mills just takes a somewhat big leap here in you too, or in your two? I can see it. Last one, because this one's off the board on most sports books. The Cleveland Browns, we see them for the most part at 9.5 wins. They're on some sites still the favorite to win the AFC North. But what are your thoughts here?
I had them at 9 and 8. This is one of the teams that I had to take down a win to get my overall record in the NFL to even 500. So I have Cleveland at 8 and 9.
It's just so hard because if Deshaun Watson is only suspended for 4 games, I would be inclined to say double-digit wins because
do you think that's going to happen?
I think he gets somewhere between 4 to 6 games.
Okay, let's say he gets 6 because I think that's probably more accurate. But obviously, so now you're looking at let's say they go 2 and 4 without him. In order to get to 10 wins, they would need to go 8 and 3?
Yep.
I don't think they're going 8 and 3 in this division with a quarterback that hasn't played since 2020.
I just think there's a chance that they go better than that to start the season. Their early season schedule is not hard, Elliot. Okay. This is the teams they open up with. At Carolina, home against the Jets, home against the Steelers, at the Falcons. Like they could easily go 2 and 2.
Go 3 and 1. They could go 3 and 1 right there.
And that's the thing. If they can go 3 and 1, or 3 and 3 to start the season.
So if they go 3 and 3, they'd still have to go 7 and 4 with Deshaun Watson, a quarterback that hasn't played, that was on a 4 and 12 team when he played lights out. I can go to 9 and 8 with Cleveland. I can't get to 10 wins, not with that. But either way, you mentioned the key thing, off the board. If there's one team that we really shouldn't spend time on, it's this one.
Nope,
because we don't know. In fact, that was a little bit of a problem with New Orleans because even though running backs have been devalued, Kamara is a special player. So, yeah, I've got them at 8 wins. That may not be my best prediction, but I'm operating off of information I don't have. So
you were only off on a few games for a few of these teams. Overall, pretty good. The one team that we like quite a bit is the Saints. We also like Minnesota a little bit more than their win total, but there's no big discrepancies here other than the Saints.
The 2 teams I was down the most on was Houston and Kansas City. I had Houston. What was Houston's over under? 4.5?
4.5. Yep.
Yeah, I was 1.5 below on them. And I was 1.5 below on Kansas City. I didn't really want to do that with Kansas City, but I had to. I just feel like if you're going to do predictions and you're going to predict records, the records need to line up. Otherwise, you're just being pie in the sky. And you said Cleveland's about 9.5 on average.
Yep. Just depending on the site. Yep.
Okay. So I would be 1.5 down on Cleveland, but I'm not really counting that.
Yeah.
So
in most sports books won't let you put any significant amount of money on that for good reason. They just have no idea, because what if Deshaun Watson doesn't get suspended? What if the NFL said, or Sue Roberts says, you know what? He served his time last year. He doesn't deserve a suspension. We're talking about something completely different.
Right. But just let's play that out. Let's say he does not get suspended. Is it really that crazy to think that they would go 8 and 9 with him?
If he plays all 17 games, I would be shocked if they win 8-9.
I mean, they do have the Super Bowl representative in their division that's getting nothing but more experienced.
Who they smoked in both games last season.
Okay. Doesn't mean they're going to smoke them again.
No, but the problem is I think the Browns, their strengths line up really well with the other teams in the division, right? Because they can get a pass rush with their front four. And I'm not sure the Bengals can block it.
You've got the 2019 MVP returning back to health. You've got a Pittsburgh team that, granted, is not very good, but you're not going to be able to beat them the way you did last year. So, in the same manner, anyway. I don't know, man. And Deshaun Watson hasn't played. He didn't play last year.
That's fair.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of data on NFL players that took a year off, and most of it isn't promising. There are some exceptions to that. This was not an injury-related thing because when a guy gets hurt, let's say a guy gets hurt in week 3, misses the whole season. Take someone like Christian McCaffrey, right? Who was hurt most last year. He's still around the team. He's still working out at the facility. He's still around his guys. This is a guy who did not play last year, right? Who wasn't practicing, right? Wasn't Deshaun Watson completely away from the team last year?
No, he was with the team. He was just the third string quarterback or doing scout team work.
I thought he did not. I thought they kept him away.
No, he was there. They couldn't technically keep him away.
That's right. You're right. You got me on that.
But he was at least he didn't practice really at all. He was there.
But
it's
still a point well taken. I thought that you're right, but I'm conflating two different things because you're right. They couldn't keep him away from the team. However, where I was going to go with this is you've got a guy that basically wasn't practicing, who wasn't really a part of the team that he was a part of, and everyone knew he was going to be gone. That's where I wanted to end up at. Now he's on a team where he's brand new. And the guys he's playing with are brand new. I'm not saying he's going to fall flat on his face. I think he's a really good player. In fact, I think he's a better player than you do. Remember when we ranked quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think he's somewhere between the 9th and 11th best quarterback in the league.
But I'm glad you corrected me on that because I did misremember that. And unlike you, I try not to act like I'm flawless and everything.
So my big takeaway from this podcast is, number one, we need to buy more Los Angeles Chargers apparel, right? Number two, I don't think the Saints are our team this year, Elliot.
Saints Chargers Super Bowl would be really weird, but I can't go that high with the Saints
because they're not a Super Bowl team, but they are going to be a very good regular season team.
Yeah, I think Herbert can lift a team in the postseason if he's in that tournament. Jameis Winston would need a lot of things to go right, but you got me thinking about this Deshaun Watson deal a little bit because to be honest, admittedly, I've probably spent zero time thinking about Deshaun Watson this entire year. I'm so sick of the situation. I have my own personal feelings about whether he should play and all those kinds of things. But when we did the quarterback rankings, and you and we talked about him versus Dak, you like Dak better.
Yeah, but I think they're in the same tier at the quarterback, and those guys can.
Oh, here you go with your tiers.
No, I'm just saying you can kind of move them up and down depending on the game. But yeah, I think they're similar.
I think it was such an unusual situation. There are very few times where a guy is technically on a team the whole year and you know he's not going to be back.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you have speculation when a guy's like in the last year of a deal and you think, you know, this team's just not going to be able to afford them next year. So there's a 90% chance they're not back, but you don't operate the entire preceding season as if they're gone. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just a really weird situation for everybody because he hasn't played and he hasn't even really practiced. And, you know, it's going to be what?
But he was part of the team, as you pointed out. So a team that he's no longer with.
When's the last time he's gone through like a full padded practice other than today? It's been almost 2 years, right?
To get ready for a game.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Um, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think if I were going to, if I were going to bet on anything though, out of what we went over, one, it's kind of not fair because it's not really what we're talking today, but I would bet on the Eagles to win the NFC East, especially if you're still getting 4-1 odds. Secondly, I would bet on the Saints over. That's what I got. And to use a Marcus Mosher, you know how you always say it's more fun to bet on the over with a point total? Yes. I think it's more fun to bet the over with a win total.
Oh, so, yeah, because it's your new team, right? You're rooting for them every single game. I think we do it. Let's bet this win total. You want to do it together? So we have some stakes in this?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll do that. Bet on the Saints win total, and we'll get our Chargers parkas for the next time we do a video. It'll be great. We need to get out of here before my voice goes, before I screw something else up. Have I said Jacoby Eason yet?
No, you have not. We're good.
All right, Jacoby Eason. Very good. We thank the good people at Brinks, Courtney and Eric and Herbert and all those folks. I think Marcus Mosher, who finally decided to leave the pool and come do some work. And we're always happy to hear from you guys. He's at Marcus_Mosher on Twitter. Make sure you catch him on Locked On Cowboys. I'm at Harrison NFL. So good to talk to you guys again. Take care, everybody.